Welcome, everybody. It's another exciting edition of the Sports Hole. I'm your host, Luke. With me, as always, XFL Jim, rock and roll Matty Goldberg. What's up, boys?
What is up, boys? What a crazy weekend.
Twas.
It's a beautiful time to be a football fan. That's all I'll say.
It goes fast.
So, Jim,
God, it does.
Nebraska's making a bowl game.
Isn't it weird how fast it goes?
Yes, Maddie. It's like the craziest thing that, like, it feels just like yesterday. It was week 3 in college ball, and the NFL just started.
This is literally the last full week of college football.
Crazy.
Wow.
And yes, Luke, it feels very special. It has been since 2016 that Nebraska has made a bowl game.
Get ready for that Meineke Car Bowl.
No, actually, we're billed for the Music City Bowl.
Ooh, that's exciting.
Which would be so what I've seen, it's like Nebraska, the Music City Bowl against either LSU or Ole Miss.
That's not a bad one.
Wow. Throw you right in there.
The problem with those games, though, is you don't know if the other team's going to actually show up.
Maddie, I don't give a fuck who shows it. Like, all I know is that, like, Nebraska is like a good bid for a bowl because they're gonna. This is our first.
They will show up.
They will go. They will go to the game.
If they have,
why don't you drive over to Nashville and watch that shit?
Oh my God, I'm going on a cruise then.
I can see a Lane Kiffin like going, all right, Jackson Dart. We got to look at the other guy. Let's bench our guys. The guys are going to make the NFL. Let's bench them. They're just like, what a joke.
No, they don't bench them. The kids opt out. That's what.
Well, they opt out, but still, it's a joke, man. It's also like, I don't know. I don't like that about the bowl games anymore. They're not fun to gamble on.
Maddie, that's where you and me disagree. It's like a whole different season. You have to come at it from a whole different angle.
Yeah, but it's like, okay, you can gamble on like the smaller games, like the MAC teams and the smaller teams.
Gamble on them all.
But when you get like Ohio State versus Missouri last year, that was a disgrace because Ohio State is a top 10 team that basically didn't show up. And you just throw you fuck the fans over with nonsense. If you're not going to play, don't show the fuck up.
This could be one of the good things about NIL is like you're contracted through the whole season,
Yeah, but they skip out on the bowl games. And I'm like, okay, if you're not going to do it, just say, okay, we're going to skip.
No, I know, but I'm saying with paying the players now, this might, there might not be.
It didn't happen last year.
Maddie, it's just getting started.
Yeah, it's true. Like, they have to start writing things into contracts. Maybe they'll start including them.
Well, we'll see this year because last year was a joke.
I mean, I doubt they will this year. Maddie, like, player opt-outs and bowls are just going to go crazier and crazy. Like, that's just...
I know, and it's garbage.
That's not an NIL thing, though. That's
Soon you're going to see guys in the playoffs opt out.
Well, okay, here's the deal, though, too, is with NIL, right? Like, these players can get paid for the bowl game specifically, too.
Yes.
So you could easily be paying, suppose the sponsors had another $1 million to throw at these teams.
Well, I hope you're right.
We'll give you a couple $100,000, top 20 draft pick if you want to play, that kind of shit.
It's that, but it's also like anymore, a lot of teams view the not like major bowl games and the playoffs, obviously, are the playoffs, but like they view like the non-New Year's Six bowls as like, oh, we're going to get the younger guys some time, especially now that they're going to start shrinking rosters here. Oh, yeah. It's going to be like a big talent evaluation deal.
Oh, yeah. Well, like Michigan, I'm looking forward to that because it's like, I know there are probably a few people that are not going to play. I mean, they don't have a very NFL rich roster this year, but there's just this last game when they finally had a good game and blew out Northwestern. They had a lot of young guys playing. It was like, okay, this is cool. This is fun.
It feels good.
Yeah.
Feels good.
Yeah.
It feels
all right.
good.
Where do you guys want to begin? Should we had a lot going on this weekend, but just to start though, we had some news today. Mac Brown fired from North Carolina.
Yeah. So did you guys hear what he said? He said he was looking forward to coming back. And then,
after he like almost quit.
Yeah. This is the right move.
Yes.
You could not bring Mac. Like if you if you're North Carolina, you bring Mac Brown back, that you're punting on a whole
How
nother
old is
season.
he? Like almost 80?
He's got to be mid 70s.
I
Yeah.
mean, go off on the sunset. Don't feel bad for him.
73, Maddie.
He did a good job with his age. He had a great career. He's got a natty title. He's got a ring. He was part of one of the greatest games of all time. Every coach loves him. You ever watch like coaches after the game, the hugs they give for him? It's almost like a celebration as opposed to like a firing. I don't see this as like some sad day. I'm like, this is a celebration.
Well, he's
Yeah.
also like this year in particular has been rough.
Yeah.
It's weird though, like when Penn State was going through this with Paterno, like he was at least surrounded by people that could keep things on the path,
Yeah.
whereas Mac Brown, they probably don't have the assets over there and it's just
No.
not worth it.
My nephew's gonna play there in 10 years as a quarterback. So
He's going to be the
um,
quarterback.
I think he'll play at UNC.
Yeah.
He's throwing some balls, man. He can throw, man.
Now then it's going to be JUNC.
Yeah. Well, they won't know that about him, but he looks
No,
I'll
pretty.
it's
tell
just
him.
no. It'll
I
be
will
just like
tell
it'll be
the
just like
folks over there.
BYU.
What's that?
It's just like BYU.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, that was a tough game.
No, Maddie, that was an amazing game. That game was
But
amazing.
but hats off to Mac Brown. Great career. I'll always remember Texas, USC, one of the greatest games I
Yeah.
ever saw.
Amazing game.
Were you alive for that one, Chim?
Yeah, Maddie, I was alive for that one.
Okay, just
I
making
was a
sure.
little kid, so I was like just starting to start watch
Did you
football.
watch it? It was a hell of a
I
game.
I did see it.
Luke, you watched it, obviously.
Oh yeah. No, it was
Great game.
fantastic. It was
Yeah.
really funny too, because I'm like, Vince Young did the same thing to Michigan the year before.
Yeah,
And
he did.
and so to watch this, and I've always hated USC, always. So
Well,
it was,
they were like the alpha. They were the defending champ.
yeah, and especially
What's
like because you're playing basically on their home turf, like 10 miles
No.
from where they play
And
normally.
everybody was like, they're this college dynasty. Like they were getting like UCLA in basketball with John Wooden or something.
Yeah,
They're that good.
it was
what's
getting nuts.
what's old Vincey up to nowadays?
I don't know, but very disappointing NFL career. And then of course when he went to the Eagles and he called it the dream team, and I think they won like 4 games.
He's a
Whoa.
special assistant at Texas.
Yeah, well that means they're just paying him for no reason.
Yeah, like hang out and talk to the players.
Yeah, I mean, it's like we don't really respect you. Like, we don't think you can coach, but like you did so much for the program. We'll give you a fake job.
Yeah, just don't get a DUI and you'll be okay,
It sounds
man.
like in Reservoir Dogs when Vinny Vega didn't want to work, and they're like, "Well, you're gonna give your time card. They'll punch you in, but you don't worry about it."
All right. Big game of the day on Saturday was Ohio State just beating the crap out of Indiana. And a
Oh,
game that I felt should have been closer because there was a couple of big miscues on Indiana's
Indiana
part.
was up 7-zip,
Yeah.
the
but
opening drive from Indiana was beautiful, and then they just dug themselves in a hole early with
they weren't very overmatched though.
the punt. The punting was awful.
The
The two
reality came. You know, the sad thing was this the last few weeks is reality came for Indiana this week, and reality came for the military schools because we all were like Navy, Army, wow. And then Notre Dame decides to like bully these kids that are protecting our country, which is sick and fucked up
Right?
by
Fuck
those
you,
rich
Notre
assholes.
Dame.
disgusting from Notre Dame.
Just
Piece of
disgusting.
shit.
I will say I was kind of impressed with Indiana's defense. Like their
Yeah,
defense wasn't terrible.
and you know what? The coach is smart because he's like, with the craziness of all these other teams losing, we can sneak in. And when they were down, they kind of slowed the game down because they didn't want to get beat that bad. It was almost like in soccer, where if you ever watch the World Cup, like a team needs to win by like 3 goals to get to the next round, and they're like trying to score, and it's almost like Indiana's like, if we lose by like 14, it won't look as bad as like 24-30. And they kept it kind of close, and they actually like literally slowed the game down by like 24 points or something.
You think that was their strategy, or were they just trying to play within themselves and not try
I
to
think
I
both.
think they were trying to not get Curtis Rourke murdered because he was getting
Yes.
absolutely demolished
That
back there.
too.
Yeah,
Indiana's O
Absolutely.
line
Ohio
was
State's defense was looking
Yeah.
good, man.
yeah. The
But I
big
did
loser of
feel
the day
like
was Indiana's O line.
look, if we make it to like 14, it won't look that bad. And they'll probably lose one game. I think they're gonna make it. I think Ole Miss and Bama losing really helped them out.
Don't
Two
forget
teams,
Texas A&M.
well, Texas A&M lost too, but three teams that are probably better than them all lost. And how do
I
you take?
I don't know if we could definitively say that they're better than
Well,
Indiana.
let me ask you something. Do you take a three-loss team over a one-loss?
No, no, you cannot.
Luke,
No, and I don't care. I mean, who are you speaking of? Like Bama? Would you put Bama
Bama,
got
You
Ole Miss.
cannot lose to Oklahoma the way
no,
you lost to
no,
Oklahoma.
you can't do that. It is much more honorable for the way Indiana lost to Ohio State. This is their first time that they had anything riding on a
Yeah.
game like that in decades.
And Ohio State's the number 2 team in the country.
Yeah.
So
Oklahoma's trash.
so who loses out of the three lost teams? You got
Alabama's
Bama.
the biggest loser because they were on pace to play in the SEC championship game and they got
Yeah.
knocked the hell out of
What
that.
about
And it wasn't just a
Tennessee?
close game. It was they got fucking run
Would
over,
you say Tennessee's out? How
Tennessee's at
could you
what?
lose to Oklahoma? Oklahoma is so
By the
bad.
way, does this save Venables?
Uh, I don't
I
think.
don't
I mean,
know.
I don't think he was going to get fired this year
You don't think so?
anyway.
Oh, okay.
No, I think he's going to come into next season like with a hot seat, but I don't think he was in jeopardy this year.
And another thing, I will defend Kabor. Like it takes a year or two to get your shit going. Like all these people that already want him out, like he was the best guy you could get. He was the hottest guy. He built up Washington way above it should be. He everywhere he goes, he wins. He will probably win in Alabama. Give it time. I did hear a crazy story. I don't know if it's true, but supposedly a five-star defensive guy sent a very risque picture to his daughter and got kicked off the team before the game. And I think, have you heard about this story?
I did hear about the story, Matt. I don't think it was someone who was like contributing a
Have
ton.
you heard about this, Luke?
I didn't.
Yeah, so I guess he sent her either a dick pic or
He
That's
sent her
not
like
risque, Maddie.
no,
That's a
no.
dick pic.
He sent her like
Risque, like what's a guy sending a risque
no.
picture looking?
He sent like texts like describing a lot of
Oh yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
That's what he sent.
yeah.
He didn't send like any picture. He sent like stuff that he was gonna want. Like he was describing what he would do to her.
Right. Yeah.
To the
was
coach's
that?
daughter.
That's
To the
pretty
coach's daughter is a bold move.
flagrant. Yeah.
was it taking her to
The coach's
Applebee's?
daughter is what? June?
What?
The coach's daughter is what?
I said that was bold. That was like bold of the
Yeah.
player. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like the move.
Supposed to go to the daughter of the other coach on
Yeah.
the
I like it.
opposing
It
team.
shows he's dedicated to the team.
Right. He's just the Hunter Hurst Hemsley
That
of
kind of happened in the
Alabama.
movie The Program because
Yeah.
the coach's daughter was stooping the backup quarterback, and she should, like you don't get. I don't know, but like that's a crazy story, and I'm like they were so off. I was wondering if that was a distraction.
No, I mean, maybe. I think it's more that Brent Venables, I mean, as bad as Oklahoma's been for the whole season, their defense has been pretty good.
Yeah,
And they had a great game plan for Jalen Milroe that, like, he wasn't going to do anything. And he looked awful. He looked
they did
terrible
lay.
out
They
there.
laid an absolute egg.
If
Like
they're
3
so
points is
bad,
embarrassing. Did
I
you
mean,
get
where do you think this guy's even going to get drafted?
I don't know.
probably
You
in
think
the
he's gonna
middle,
get
like
drafted at
fifth,
all?
sixth round.
Yeah,
Like
if he
Spencer Rattler.
does, I think he's worse
It's
than Spencer
amazing how
Rattler
good
for
he looks sometimes, though, and then other times it's just
He
like
was
what?
better
he's
last year.
he's got that like weird college juju
You
where
know
he
what's
can have
interesting?
like because like you guys saw in the Georgia game, he was
Yeah.
electric. He couldn't do anything wrong, and then you have
Yeah.
stuff like this.
I mean, I'm not singling out Caleb Kabor, whatever his name is. Like, I'm not saying he's a bad coach, but sometimes with Nick Saban, you're like, well, of course Alabama's going to win. They got all this talent, but now you see, even with talent, how important coaching is because they never had a bad game. They never did. Like it took either like a sick Clemson team that had more talent than them, or a crazy Auburn game with a return or something,
Yeah.
or Johnny Football going nuts. But they never, I can't remember a time Bama in the last 10 or 15 years laid an egg. Like just went and played a team that
Well, we
did.
know like they still have a lot of talent, of course, but I mean, when the coaching changed, when the coaches changed, I mean, how did they suffer a lot of attrition in the portal or anything? Like what?
They did have a decent amount of transfers.
Yeah,
They had they had like some transfers in, but a lot of people transferring out.
yeah.
Again, it'll take like a little bit to stabilize. I don't obviously this isn't a successful season for Bama. They're gonna have 3 losses. I mean, also, where's the game? Where's the Iron Bowl at? Is it in Auburn? Because if it's in Auburn, they might have a fourth because Auburn's got some weird shit going on there.
Yeah, Auburn is rising.
So they're
That's
doing
at
the college.
Alabama.
It's
It's at
Alabama.
Alabama. So they'll be
They're
fine.
doing the
They'll be
college
fine.
playoffs right now. Have you seen, Jim, who's in and who's
I,
out?
I have not. I have not seen what the rankings are showing.
I mean, does it? I mean, I guess
These
that's the
these
last
ones
week.
don't matter. The next one.
The next one's the final one.
The next one is the final one, but this one, like, I mean,
Well,
it
not the
matters
final
a
one, 'cause then
decent
we
Well,
have
it
amount.
does
conference
matter because you
champions.
know where you stand.
Yeah, sorry, yeah. There's
I mean, it
two more.
doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, it's nice to know. I'm interested to see like how far does Indiana fall based on the chaos that happened to in the SEC with A&M, Alabama, and Ole Miss all losing.
Yeah, and we also had Colorado losing too.
The Big 12 is crazy. There are
Right.
so
Yeah.
many
They
potential
got beat
outcomes.
up by
Can
Kansas, who's
Colorado
had a great
still make
season.
it?
I will say this: the Kansas that is playing now
Yeah.
is one of the most dangerous teams. Like they are feisty.
They are very good.
They're healthy. They're good. They're the only team with a losing record to beat 3 ranked teams back to back to back.
Wow.
Yeah, they're hot. I mean, it sucks they had such a bad start to their season, but is Colorado definitely out? Like, can they not?
No. So they don't control their own destiny, but say, I think if Arizona State
Who's
loses,
hot? They're red hot.
then they're in.
Okay.
And I think it's the winner of Iowa State, K-State. Or like so if Colorado wins and either Arizona State or Iowa State lose, I think Colorado's in.
And Florida's getting better.
Yeah, great. They're playing for Napier.
They are playing, and that like Ole Miss, basically they had to win that game and they're in. I mean, what a fucking disaster. Like 2 games they should have easily won. Kentucky, um, Florida, and now they're looking out, and I don't and it's like the best team they've ever had and that I can remember, and they ain't gonna make it
So
unless something crazy happens.
yes, Maddie. So if Arizona State and Iowa State both lose this week and Colorado wins, if either
Where
one of those
is
schools, I think Colorado's in.
is
BYU is ahead of
BYU?
them though. BYU is ahead of Colorado. But
Okay.
if Arizona State loses, BYU wouldn't be in because Arizona State. No, they're all 6-2. So yeah, if
So
Arizona State
confused.
loses, BYU's in if they win.
I think the coach of
The only
Arizona,
2 teams that control their destiny are Arizona State and Iowa State.
I think the coach of Arizona State had one of the best speeches because the way they handled the end of the game with whatever the fuck they were doing by just running backwards
Was
one of the
stupid.
weirdest, dumbest things I've ever seen that
It
led
was
to
so
insanity.
stupid.
I still have not seen that. That's something I've always thought of in my head.
It's
Like,
something you do in like NCAA 25 or something like
right.
that.
Let me
or
just
Madden.
go get the fastest guy and have him run back there and whatever.
And then there's some crazy play where you throw the ball in the crowd, and the way it works is as soon as it touches somebody, the clock stops, and it hit a fan with like a second to go.
I think they could have even put like 2 or 3 seconds on.
Well, they would have had one play anyway. But
Either way.
the coach was like, "Yeah, I screwed that up. I didn't know what I was doing, but hey, we won the game."
Did you see him during though? He was going crazy on the refs. He was like
He's
screaming.
got nobody to blame but himself.
Yeah, it was. Hey, he's only like 32.
Well, he's doing a
I think
good job.
I think he's
Arizona
like I think he's
State
like
is
37.
All right, we
on the
can't
rise.
mention some of these games without talking about we had not one but two preemptive fans storming the stadium,
Yeah,
storming the
boy.
field with the ASU game and the Auburn game, I believe.
Yeah, you gotta stop this shit.
Because it's
I don't
cool.
know
It's
how
one of
you
the
do
coolest
it.
things in all of sports is the fans rushing the field, but do it right. Otherwise, they will start to lock this shit down, and then it's not going to be fun anymore.
You know what it was like?
You have to like wait till it's 0-0-0-0.
Yes.
John Sterling, I hate, but he's been the Yankees announcer for fucking 30 years. One World Series game, he goes, Yankees win. Oh, Yankees win. And then everybody's like, oh my God, one of the great calls. And then the next year, it's like May, 11-0. Yankees beat the Orioles on a Yankees win. Oh, and you're like, okay, this is you ruined it
Right.
because you do that on a special occasion. And the people rushing the field, it would happen once a year when that number one team got
Right.
like Bama loses to somebody, or number one or top five team goes down. Michigan loses to Illinois.
I think it was Illinois storming the field when they beat Michigan, who was already had lost 2 or 3 games already. Like,
It makes no sense.
no, it's fucking cheapening
Yeah.
the rushing of the field.
Yes.
I will say there was people in the Nebraska fan base poo-pooing Nebraska fans for rushing the field, but I was okay with it.
I'm like, wait.
For making a bowl, like the fans that are at the game.
Come on.
For making the Music City Bowl?
Come on.
Maddie,
Calm the
fans
fuck
that are
down.
at the game, when do you think the last time they saw like a good Nebraska team was?
1994.
Yeah, those people weren't born.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm okay with
I-
like the students, the best years they had was like the end of the Pelini era, and they would have been in middle school.
Who did they beat this weekend to lock it
It was
down?
Wisconsin. It was the
Oh.
first
That's
time we
right.
beat.
Yeah, they beat.
It was the
And let me
first time
tell
we
you-
beat Wisconsin since 2012.
And let me tell you, Dana Holgerson
I'm
called
okay
an
with
amazing
it.
game.
I was okay with it.
The play calling was amazing. It was like they had a whole different roster out there.
It was beautiful.
He's good play
Holgerson has
calling.
got the magic touch. What if he was just meant to be a coordinator?
He should be.
He should be just like Chip Kelly.
Us. We'll
I think the
see.
Big 12 is the
wins.
most exciting time.
Also,
what-
like Georgia played like shit against
Did you?
Massachusetts.
Yeah, I was watching that like
Yeah.
score.
Nobody
and
was
I was
really
like-
talking about this.
No.
either. It's
well, they eventually came back, blew them out. But
I knew that. You knew that was going to happen.
All right,
but it's
let me
also
ask
like
you guys a
this is
question.
just a thing that
this
like
isn't even like a good Massachusetts
Who's
team.
the
This
team?
this is something Georgia does all the time, though.
Yeah.
Who's the team that can, Jim, that can potentially sneak into this out of nowhere?
Like into the playoffs,
Yes.
my preferred one would be the G5. It'd be Tulane. I think Tulane would be fun if Boise State loses. Tulane
I'm
would be a
looking
good
at
one.
the thing right now. An interesting team is South Carolina's 14.
No fucking way to say. I mean, if you're gonna put a 3-loss SEC school in, you could do worse than
How
South
about this
Carolina.
one? UNLV is 9-2. So Boise State will probably make it. SMU will probably make it.
Well,
This is-
SMU, I think SMU is basically in if they make the
Does
ACC
Georgia play
championship game.
Georgia Tech this week?
Yes,
I wouldn't be surprised if something weird happens in that game.
I so want Georgia Tech to come up and bite them. I
They
want it
could.
so bad.
They could.
The dream scenario for me for pure chaos would be Georgia Tech beating Georgia because Georgia's already locked into the SEC championship game. I think that
Yeah.
wouldn't affect any standing. So if Georgia Tech beats Georgia, and then Texas A&M comes around and beats Texas for Texas A&M to play in the SEC championship game at like 3 losses. Ugh, disgusting.
Is Clemson out?
No, Clemson is right there. The only issue is they don't really have any signature wins.
Yeah. They
They need what they really need because I don't think they make at large. I don't think Clemson does. They could get a good win this week against South Carolina, but I think if Miami loses to Syracuse coming up, Clemson makes the ACC
What
championship game
if
against SMU.
USC beats Notre Dame this week?
No, Notre Dame's done then. They're
So they
done.
and this is a must win for them.
Every game's a must win. Ever since losing to NIU, every game has been a must win for Notre Dame. And they've been doing it. They've been
They have.
killing everybody.
It looks like Penn State is in.
Penn State's in. Indiana, I think, is in. Ohio State's in. Oregon is in. Um, Texas is probably in.
I would say Texas is definitely in.
Like the only thing is, like, if Texas loses to A&M, I don't know.
One of those three lost teams is going to make it as the last thing.
The only issue is I'd rather put like a 2-loss team from another conference in.
All right, over Ole Miss or Bama, who do you put in?
Do they have a head? They don't have a head-to-head this year, do
No.
they?
Or
Probably.
Tennessee.
I thought
Ooh.
Bama beat them.
I don't think Bama played Ole Miss this
No,
year.
they haven't played this year.
Oh, okay.
Georgia beat them.
Georgia. Okay.
No, or did they beat Georgia?
Ole Miss lost to Kentucky, Florida, and
And
somebody else.
South Carolina, right?
No, they lose to
No?
Tennessee. I mean, they lose to
Was it Tennessee?
Alabama.
Jeez.
I don't think they played Bama though. That's another thing of the season going so fast.
Yeah, it really has.
So Ole Miss has lost to Kentucky, LSU,
LSU.
and Florida.
They should. They could be undefeated. All
Yeah,
three
they
games
should
they
be.
could have won.
So if you're taking a 3-loss team, I think so.
Bama.
Well, Ole Miss and Bama both have wins over Georgia, but I think Bama has the worst loss to Oklahoma.
Not
So
to
I would
distract you
take I would
guys.
take if you put gun to my head, I'm taking one of the 9-3 teams.
Yeah,
I'm taking Ole Miss over Bama, and I'm probably taking them over like Tennessee as well.
not to distract you
If
guys.
Tennessee has 3 losses.
I got ESPN right now, so they're doing it. 20 is Texas A&M, 19 is BYU, 18 Iowa State, 17 Tulane, 16 Arizona State. Right now we're on.
We're actually on pace to if Boise State wins their conference championship, then Boise State gets the bye.
That's wild.
The Mountain West champion will probably be ranked higher than the Big 12
Like
champion
if
at the
they
end of the
play a
season.
team like Bama, in the second round, they're gonna get smoked. Or Ohio
Yeah,
State.
especially the way Boise State's playing right now. Like
Do you
they were in a
predict-
struggle with Wyoming.
Do you predict that there will be a lot of blowouts in the first round of this?
Probably second round.
The first round, I really don't know. I
I
think
think second round
This-
is even crazier.
this year in particular.
second round, yeah, because all the great teams with the buys, I guess.
Because like if you get Boise State versus Ohio State, even if Boise State has a home game, they're gonna win by 14, 20 points.
Yeah.
Ole Miss, South Carolina 15, Ole Miss is 14. Is Bama sneaking in here? This is crazy.
No, that'd be
Who do you think
Deplorable.
is 13?
that'd be deplorable if Bama sneaks in,
Who
but
do you think is 13?
probably Bama. This should be like 17.
I'll tell you in a second. They're taking their sweet ass time. They'll probably go to commercial right before the top
Wait,
12.
they got Iowa State below these guys.
Alabama's number 13, down
Called
6
it.
spots.
Called
It's
it.
like the music charts. Down 6 spots from 7 last week. We have Bama with.
I don't know how you lose like that. Like I don't know if you're a playoff person. If you lose like that to that Oklahoma team, I don't know how you could justify putting them in the playoffs.
So who is number 12 then?
Boise.
Number 12 is.
See if I go 2 for 2. I'm gonna say Boise.
You gonna say Boise? It is Northwestern. What? That's not right.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, let's come back to this later because by the time people are listening to it, they'll already know all this shit. So, you guys ready to do some NFL?
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you real quick.
yeah,
The number
baby.
12 is Clemson, but let's do football.
All
NFL.
NFL Ravens throttling the Chargers last night, just running
Harbaugh Bowl.
all over the field. The
Has-
Harbaugh Bowl.
Jim
Jim
Harbaugh
loses
was the
again
best
to his
coach.
younger brother.
I was gonna
or
say,
older brother.
has Jim's never beaten John,
No,
has
he's
he?
now 0-3. I
So
think.
his quote yesterday before the game was amazing.
Yeah.
He's like, I love my brother. I'll take a bullet for him. but I ain't gonna let him win a football game.
Unfortunately, Derrick Henry had more to say than Jim in
They're
this
just a
game.
better team. Like
It
San
is.
Diego's not ready yet, and the
No,
Ravens
Jim's
have a
got him
better
playing well,
roster.
but yeah, they need more.
Yeah, they don't have the pieces yet.
No,
Yeah.
but they're building something, and they're so much better than last year. They're much better coached than last year, and the Ravens are kind of confusing. I can't get a read on them because they have the potential to do what they did last year, but they haven't put like a lot of games together. They're losing games that they should win.
How did they lose to the Raiders? I keep thinking back.
That's
How did they
crazy.
lose to the Raiders?
They lost to the Browns. They put up
Deshaun Watson Browns.
no, they lost to Winston.
Was it? Oh, it was
Yeah.
Winston's. Okay. I
Yeah,
still
so
the
they've
Raiders.
laid some eggs, and it's surprising because it's like they were so good last year. So it's odd to see them lay eggs, and they played one of their better games yesterday, and they're dangerous, but like I don't know how much better they are than last year. Like they should on paper they should be, but you got to go year by year. I don't think their defense is good as last year.
I do think their offense is better.
Yeah, I mean Derrick
I,
Henry is a beast. He played great. Lamar Jackson had a great throw. I still put the Chiefs and the Bills above them, but like
dude,
they gave up a lot. They gave up a lot of points. I mean, the Bengals have put up like 30 points on them twice. That's concerning. I just don't think their defense is as good as last year.
is something up with the
It's
Chiefs?
not.
Huh?
Is something up with the Chiefs? Like legit?
No, no, they did this last year. I mean,
What was it
remember
to this level?
they lost to the fucking Raiders on Christmas.
I
They
mean,
were
dude,
bad the
you win
last
that
six
many
or
Super
seven
Bowls,
weeks. They were
you
very
only care about
mediocre,
Super
and then
Bowls.
they turn
It's
it
Yeah.
true.
on and they find ways to win. And you really got to beat them. Like if you keep them in games, they're gonna win. You got to fucking beat them. And I liked what last week when Josh Allen, he carried them, and I think the Panthers are getting better. I'm happy to see Bryce Young
I
playing a
was
lot better.
I was gonna say Bryce Young looked pretty
And
good
they're actually
actually.
competitive now. Like I wouldn't want to play them down the stretch if I'm in the race, I would not want to play them down the stretch because they're a loose, dangerous team. And that's the team you don't want to play because while you're playing tight and not trying to fuck up, they can take all the chances. They can play no risk it, no biscuit. By the way, Tennessee is number 8, SMU 9, Indiana 10, Georgia 7.
Yeah. A lot of that's could be changing next week.
The Commanders are falling apart.
Is
We
it? This
keep
is like the most Cliff Kingsbury thing, though, like starting out super hot and then just
Yeah.
fading.
The
Yeah, isn't
Cliffsbury.
that crazy?
Yeah. Falling off the
And
cliffs
now it's like
there.
it's Bo Nix going to win Rookie of the Year for the offense.
Yes.
It's been
Yes.
amazing.
You better believe.
He's been
It's Jim's
absolutely
favorite collegiate
incredible.
player.
Oh yeah, baby.
He's been
What's do you
great,
think
man.
Jaden Daniels is hurt?
Yes. He's
Yeah.
playing with really bad ribs and it's showing.
He's
He's
definitely hurt.
probably at 40%.
That's too bad. He was so fun to watch
I know,
coming
but
out of
hey,
the
you run the
gate.
ball like that, you're going to get beat up in the NFL.
So, are we looking at Saquon as MVP this year?
Wow, he's good for 2 touchdowns a game. It's like he can break them.
He's so good too.
The Giants got to feel like such losers for letting him go for nothing.
Well, this is strange. Like,
for nothing, yeah.
we've gotten to an era where running backs have become so disposable. Now,
Yeah.
this year we've seen two players kind of push to new teams, and they're
Mhm.
just crushing it. Between
Yeah.
Derrick Henry and him.
No, Saquon Barkley has been. I would say like right now, I go him 1, Josh Allen 2, maybe Jared Goff 3, but I think he's my MVP right now.
Yeah, I don't think
He's
anybody would be upset if he won.
no, he deserves it.
He's magical.
But so the 49ers have just, I know they're hurt, but
Injuries,
man,
yeah.
this is just a terrible fucking season for them. They might not
Yeah,
make
they
the
hit the injury
playoffs.
bug.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is just kind of the season from hell for the 49ers. I think you could just kind of like chalk this one,
Every
throw
once
it
in a
away.
while, you know what it's like? It's like if you have like a star quarterback in week one, he like tears his Achilles, or you're just like, what can you do? Season's over. And the 49ers just have so many injuries. It started with McCaffrey, now Purdy's out, Bosa's out. I mean, Bosa's so valuable on defense. You see the difference when he's not out there, and now the 49ers are a average to below average team right now. And but hey, next year they'll be back. That's the thing with them. They will be
Also,
back.
Debo looks fat to me right now.
How can you
They're
be
not
fat
they're
in the
not
middle of
Look,
the
doing
look,
some of
look,
the
season,
at
stuff they
look at a
dude?
little
used to do.
chunky.
They used to just dominate. Like last year, even before McCaffrey, they were pretty good. And it's been a shitty year. And it's just like, okay, we hit the injury bug this year. We'll get a middle draft pick. And it started with like, look, before the season, one of their players got shot and almost killed. It's just been a weird season for them.
All right. The Texans. Maddie, what's
Yeah.
going on with the Texans?
Look, they've had some injuries, and this was the year like with Stephon Diggs. You're like, hey, maybe Super Bowl, but they're not ready. I'm not worried about them. I'm not worried about CJ Stroud. I think they'll be fine. It's just growing pains, and they're not. Or last year they picked teams off because nobody expected anything.
Hmm.
This year people are expecting things, and they're playing their best game against them. And hey, any given Sunday in the NFL, it's this is the first year college has been like that, where Alabama can lose to Oklahoma, and in the NFL, you're gonna get your best game from bad teams, and bad teams are dangerous now because they're playing a different way. They can play loose, they can take more chances. You're playing tight, man. So it's not you see Tennessee on the schedule, you see Carolina. You don't know what you don't want those teams sometimes because they're playing with the house money, and that's scary.
Yeah.
I
Someone who had
wouldn't
a
worry
bad
though.
week this week was Daniel Jones. He was
Yes.
demoted and cut in the same week. They had him like playing on defense practice squad before they cut him. It just feels like extra
I don't feel
humiliation.
Ben
sorry for him.
DiNucci, I saw Ben DiNucci tweeted something about that where it's like, yeah, this is just kind of a thing that happens if you're like the third string or fourth string guy. You just get lumped into the practice squad safety. They
That's
just put you
funny.
there.
Well, they
He
just don't
probably
want to
had
get him
fun with it.
hurt, if you got to pay the dude,
Look, I don't feel bad. The guy got two contracts,
Yeah.
and the word is he's dating the gorgeous Kay Hanley. I think that's her name.
Who's that?
She used to host Good Morning Football.
Oh, okay.
She's on those Dick Sports commercials.
Oh,
I mean, she is a legitimate dime piece. I
okay.
mean, just an absolute gorgeous woman who loves football. I mean, I'm not feeling bad for him, man. Go to the Bermuda with Kay
Is
Hanley.
that can't be your name. I'm looking it up right now. I know.
Look up the first host of Good Morning Football.
Okay. It's
Hold on, I'll get her name right. I get names.
Kate Garraway or
No,
no, that's Britain.
hold on.
Kate
Kay
Adams?
Adams.
Okay.
Is that her name?
I don't know. That's what it says.
All right, Kay Adams. Is this her? Yes, Kay Adams.
Okay.
Wow, she was born on April 6th. I was born on April 7th. Now they're saying she's dating Kevin Durant.
Maybe she gets around,
Wow.
dude.
Really rough week for Daniel Jones.
It was originally Daniel Jones. Weird. Yeah, Daniel Jones
Maybe
is,
she only dates like professional athletes.
but she is a hottie.
People that are
So
employed.
if he's dating her, he's fine. I'm not worried about him. But
Uh,
he for 6 years, two contracts, one playoff win, just a lot of bad turnovers, just really never for a New York, a quarterback in New York, probably the quietest quarterback I've ever like nobody ever hears him talk or anything. Like it's you're QB in Gotham City, man. You gotta have a personality. You gotta own that city.
yeah, I went to a
You gotta be
school
like
with a guy like that. He was like the star athlete and he was just super quiet and really I think he married the first girl he dated kind of guy.
Yeah,
Like, I'm like, no,
that's
use
not
your powers for evil. Come on, what are you doing?
exactly.
What are you doing,
Use those
bro?
powers for evil.
Okay, it is Thanksgiving week. Are you guys excited for
Of
Thanksgiving?
course. I love
Love Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
Favorite dish on Thanksgiving, boys.
Stuffing. I like
Maddie.
the stuffing.
I mean, I'm gonna be really boring, but like I love turkey. So like turkey with some mashed potatoes and gravy and a Coca-Cola.
That's not boring, Maddie. I feel like I've been hearing a lot of anti-turkey sentiment on the
No,
timeline
I'm a
this
turkey
year.
guy. I would eat turkey every day if I could. I had a turkey taco today. It was
Turkey
okay, but
taco.
like
I
I
didn't know they,
love
that's
like a
like an
nice white
abomination. I
meat
didn't.
breast turkey with the juices. Oh, my grandma used to make a hell of a turkey, and I would eat it for days.
I do love the leftover turkey
And
sandwiches.
then cake and pies and hair pies and you name it.
Hair pies.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Maddie.
I'm a big fan of the sweet potato casserole.
Yeah, that's good shit too.
It's
Green
like
bean
the
casserole is also fun.
green bean casserole's really good.
Yeah,
I
I feel like we should do like a Thanksgiving meal like once a month.
Yeah, why
collard
not?
collard greens. Love collard greens for
I also like my
Thanksgiving.
family will have like shrimp before, so my sister will make some shrimp and some yogurt,
Ooh.
cheese, and crackers, and then I'll eat like some delicious pies with whipped cream, and then I'll be fucking in a food coma. I'm
Another one
actually
of my
celebrating
favorite
Thanksgiving on Friday this year, so
Well, one of my favorite parts of Thanksgiving is watching Maddie's borderline brother-in-law torture him while he's trying to watch
oh
sports.
man, it's so annoying. Yeah, I have my older sister's boyfriend. Like he never watches football, but he'll be like, "Who's winning?" And I'm like, "Why do you fucking ask me?
They'll
You
like
don't
come in
care."
when the game's tight and
And I'll be like, I lived in Dubai. I played football when I was 7, and I'm like, I don't give a fuck. But he always does it like it's like you're got the over under. It's the last drive of the game. You're like, and he's like, "Who's winning?" I'm like, "What do you care? You don't know any of the players. You don't know who's gonna win tomorrow. You don't watch 1 minute. You don't even watch the Super Bowl. Why do you ask me?"
All right, Maddie, what are you looking forward to in the NFL this week, though? That's what I
Uh,
want to know.
Let me
That's what
take
I
a look at the
really
game.
want to know, boy.
So, I'm in this pool that I'm doing really well in. I can win $10,000. I'm 6 points behind,
All right.
which is amazing.
Okay.
So I've got 5-1 3 weeks in a row in this thing with the spread, and the only game I lost this week was the Vikings by a half a point on
Mm.
that dumb 2 point conversion. So I would have won a lot of money. So you know what? I kind of Bears Lions kind of intrigues me. Dolphins and Packers is now a very important game.
I need to
Very
see.
important.
This is a big one for us Dolphins fans because this
Yeah.
is the prove it can the Dolphins win in the cold outside.
Chargers Vikings is a good one. Eagles Ravens and well Bills 49ers would have been, but Eagles Ravens is definitely the game of the week. And as good as the Lions are, the only team I can see beating the Lions in the NFC are the Eagles. Like the Eagles are really making a push, and it's like it just seems like those are the only two teams in the NFC. So Eagles Ravens will really know how good the Eagles are versus the
Yeah,
Ravens.
it's going to be a
That's
great
going to be
game.
the game of the week, I
Yeah,
think.
for shiz. All right, one thing I wanted to talk about too was this week we had Michigan flipping recruit Bryce Underwood
Yes.
from LSU and Brian Kelly's red angry face
Hmm.
to the tune of something reports of $10 million NIL. And the funniest part is there was a lot of people involved in this, including like Tom Brady, Dave Portnoy, and Larry Ellison, who owns Oracle.
I didn't know Ellison was involved. That
It's funny.
No,
I know
nobody
it.
did until it came out later on. But apparently his wife went to Michigan and fucking hates is a big time football fan, and she
Yeah.
just made him. I mean, Larry Ellis is one of the most. He's one of the richest dudes on the planet.
Mhm.
You know,
You know what?
um,
Like, I know I talk about Portnoy a lot, but he made a video like celebrating it, like laughing, doing his whole
yeah,
villain thing. I just wish I saw Brian Kelly watch that.
get that phone call.
Oh, if Brian Kelly saw that, like, because like that's the only thing could save his job because he's done a bad job this year. He could be like, well, I got the number one kid coming in. Like the number one quarterback is coming here, and he's coming here because I recruited him. So like you really can't fire me. Well, now it's like you have that for coming into next year that's gonna save your job and you lost it. So on top of like losing that guy, I mean
I
that's
don't
all
think
you
I don't think LSU can afford to buy him out right now. Louisiana is not a
No.
rich state.
They got some rich donors though. Like it's
Yeah, I mean
like the
that's the difference.
university
But
in that state, but
do you want to pay to get rid of that coach, or do you want to pay to get some players? So,
yeah,
I
that's
mean, Brian
true.
Kelly's a solid coach. There's no doubt about it. But the championships are the measuring stick at LSU. But one thing that I was reading on this is perhaps a shift in recruiting to the North because the North actually has more money than some of these SEC schools. You
I
know,
think
Michigan has the largest, I think, alumni in the world. Ohio State, that region, Columbus, was like the largest, wealthiest region without a pro team before the uh, Jackets came there, the Columbus, the hockey team, and and Penn State is really rich too.
I think the only school down there, there's like if you're going SEC schools, the only schools that you're not richer than definitively would be the Texas schools.
Sure, yeah, they actually
Yeah,
own
like
oil wells.
yeah, like the
Both
like
those
A and
schools,
M,
A&M and Texas, both
Well,
own.
what are we gonna do?
SMU's just like chilling out there, just like hey, fuck it,
Well,
I
we
what's
don't think
will.
funny
this
too
guy's
is
gonna
now
be a
people are
bust.
like the SEC might start calling for some sort of salary cap or something because basically the SEC has been paying players
Oh,
Yeah,
forever
forever.
illegally,
I don't
and
think this
that's why
kid's.
they've
Yeah,
done one of the reasons why they've done so well in college
I
football.
don't think this kid's gonna be a bust. But like, what if he is? Then you got the
Well,
first kid to make 10, $15 million in college that absolutely shits the bed. And
I
I'm
mean,
not
they have
saying it
this
will
guy
happen,
Ray.
but
Yeah,
it
I
will happen.
understand, Maddie. I personally, I don't really like the way it's done, but I also feel like this is just going to be the
If
way things are
It's
done
gonna be
going
the way.
if
forward.
Yeah.
you could guarantee, I mean, there's no guarantees in college football, but if you could guarantee that this guy is going to be like a top 5 draft pick as a quarterback,
Yeah,
I'd pay him almost anything. Like if you
sure.
guarantee he's gonna like be that level of player, I'd pay him. Yeah, that's like one of the biggest factors of a team
But
winning.
eventually there's gonna be a guy that's gonna be an absolute bust. That's gonna get 20 mil in college and can't play a lick.
Good
Like,
for him.
okay. I think it sets a bad
Oh, it's
precedent.
definitely happening. I mean, it's like it's no different than when you see it in the pros. Like these people aren't playing at that level, and they get paid a lot before they even take one snap at that level. And next thing you know, they're not doing well. I don't know. Like I would, with me, like I'd almost spend that money and just get the best line ever, and then get a decent quarterback. Um, because in college, a lot of the times you see the championships. I think Trevor Lawrence is one of the only ones where he was a super, he was like a number one quarterback being drafted that actually won a national championship.
Joe Burrow.
Well, Joe Burrow, yeah, too. Sorry, they're there, but also you can win without a number one quarterback though too.
Look, JJ McCarthy might have a very good NFL career too.
Yeah, could happen, but I mean, he was still like the fourth quarterback selected. I think.
Yeah.
Um,
What about Bennett? He's a
well, that's my
superstar.
point. Like he's who knows if we'll ever see him freaking play
Stenson
again.
Bennett's gonna light up the NFL next year.
I don't know there's something still weird about that guy. He took like a whole year off and nobody knew why.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know. I think this is just another twist in the NIL saga that is happening, and eventually it will. I don't think anybody's going to be happy until this is more structured and there's salary for everybody and whatnot. I don't know. Jim, how do you feel about this? Seeing a kid get that kind of money and taking away from another school, even though that's not a poverty program they stole them from, but like,
I mean, every until we get like definitive contracts or a salary cap or something, this is always going to happen. This will always have the potential for happening. It doesn't surprise me. You just had you. It all depends on rich benefactors for these schools, and I don't think it happened. Like it'll happen, obviously, with these quarterbacks, like these generational potential talents.
yeah,
But I don't think it really affects the game as a whole. I don't think you're going to see like 4-star recruits or like these guys being like super fought over more than they already are. I think this really only affects like the crazy outliers.
sure. And do you worry, with having a great young quarterback like Dylan Raiola, that he could enter the portal every year and try to get more? I mean, he could
It
also
is.
come back, but
It's
I think,
always. I think it's for every school going forward now, especially with a younger quarterback.
well,
It
yeah,
has to be a worry, especially if you're
that,
not locking in these like contracts for multi-year
yeah.
contracts.
I mean, every player, I don't know. I really still don't understand how these NIL are these players under contract, or are they just, if they end up playing at that school, is what they'll get paid? But essentially, every year, every player is going to be a free agent. And free agency is how you can make a lot of money. So,
And
uh,
I the worry isn't just like, oh, will this player transfer, but just the fact that they might play with the transfer portal just to try and get more money out of
yeah,
sponsorships in their local
yeah.
markets. I think I'm okay with this year. I'm not worried about next year for Rayola,
Hmm.
but we got to be start seeing success because I will be worried about someone like him
What kind of
transferring.
benefactors does Nebraska have? Is Warren Buffett a
He
benefactor?
does he does do a little bit, and he could probably do as much as he wanted and not give a fuck. It would be nice if Warren Buffett just started dipping his toes in and just started playing
Right.
around. I mean, rich farmers. There's like people in
Sure.
ag and finance. Omaha's a big finance district.
Yeah.
Um, and then it's a lot of like grassroots stuff. Like there's a whole jerky organization that goes to pay out the offensive linemen.
Oh, okay.
So like every bag of jerky or whatever, this whole organization they do an NIL for all O linemen for Nebraska. It's stuff like that.
Okay. And I like that tie-in. That's great. Beef jerky for the line.
Pipeline jerky.
What is it called?
Pipeline jerky.
Oh, perfect.
Never do a Slim Jim.
All right. Also, I heard a funny Urban Meyer story earlier today. Mike Vrabel, I think, was on the Manning cast, and he was like,
Yeah.
I ran into Urban Meyer, and then Urban's like, "Oh, do I know you?" And he said, "Yeah, I'm the head coach of the Titans, and I worked for you for 2 years."
Whoa.
Also, he's an Ohio State legend.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, but it just sounded so Urban Meyer, like Urban Meyer is just like a low rent Vince McMahon, you
How
know?
did Urban Meyer be able to? He seems like he is so out of touch with players. Yeah, in college he could control these kids. Like he had these kids by the balls.
Yeah,
Well, it's
well, that's what
because
he's
in college he was
notorious for.
above them. He's
Yeah,
like he's
Yeah.
above the kids in
he was
college.
for hanging their pro future over their head. So he
Yeah.
fucking did whatever he wanted. Otherwise, you're shipped out. You know, I mean, it worked on the field for sure. Definitely a different era though. That let's see, there was another story. Jim, have you ever had a masturbation tree?
A tree?
Relationship.
Yeah, apparently in India, this guy stole like 67 pieces of underwear to hang on his masturbation tree.
Nice.
I've never had a masturbation tree.
Like for Christmas?
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know, like a Christmas jack or where you just go to jack at a
Sometimes you just
masturbation
got a
tree.
JO, dude.
I know, a jack attack. And you
I
want a
don't blame the
special
guy.
day to commemorate that.
Was he stealing the underwear?
Yeah, he was stealing the underwear. He almost went
From
to
where?
Ladies all
women's
around town.
homes. Like
Yeah.
if they hung their undergarments on the line, the clothesline,
That's
they go
old school.
Oh.
nails.
Big panty thief is old school. That's
It is.
that's
Maddie, I'm
it's a
going to get a
classic move.
cameo for you from Office Chanutjeet for Christmas, the masturbation tree architect.
Does he do cameo?
I don't know.
I like how in the picture it shows like authorities with like they have everything on sticks and one of them is
Right.
wearing a mask. It's like
Yeah,
this is a hazardous zone.
it looks like when they do a drug bust and they're like,
Yeah,
I got
exactly.
all your drugs. The guy's like, look at all these panties. And the guy's just sitting there kind of like, yeah, that's my tree.
It's a real tree.
Yeah.
Like he just put underwear on a real tree. Okay, okay. No
They were
props.
just jack outdoors around that tree.
So, dude, have you ever JO'd outdoors?
I don't know.
It feels wild.
Like the wind, you get a
Like
cool
a
breeze.
rush.
You prefer like a cool breeze in that?
Oh, you could do it like first thing in the morning after like you do that, and then you just go straight into a cigarette and a cup of coffee. It's great.
Oh, boy.
Sunrise, you complete right when the sun rises.
Why don't you do all three at the same time?
It's a great, yeah.
Coffee smoke jack.
Get the dopamine just going crazy.
Yeah. All right. Anything you guys want to add before we get out of here this week?
No,
Rivalry week in college football, big week. A lot of conference championships will be like decided for who's playing what.
It's
and
gonna
give
be fun.
Michigan's gonna give Ohio State a good game.
That's all I asked for. Just
Oh.
give a good game because Ohio State
Within
is
10.
licking their chops. They're
Within
frothing
10.
This is the year that Ohio State just wants to like lay it on them. Like
Oh,
they
yeah.
really want to just like, okay, Michigan's reeling. We're
Right.
doing really good. They want to just lay it on.
I will say this: Michigan's quarterback finally looked serviceable.
Yeah.
It was the guy who started the season. They went back to him eventually. He's been with the first team for a few weeks now, and he's like looking decent. Okay, not saying they're going to win, but I'm saying at least it'll be maybe a better fight than Ohio State is expecting.
And if you're rooting for like complete playoff chaos, you are rooting for South Carolina or Clemson, doesn't matter there. You are rooting for Vanderbilt over Tennessee. You are rooting for USC over Notre Dame. You are rooting for Texas A&M over Texas, and you're rooting for Georgia Tech over Georgia.
I'm gonna put that all in the parlay.
I'm rooting for all those teams.
That would be
Money line.
complete. That would be complete chaos for the playoffs.
If I put $10 on that in a parlay, I'd probably win $1,200.
There you go.
It could happen.
All right. I guess that does it for this week. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll see you guys next week for another exciting edition of the Sports Hole.
Sports Hole.